Welcome to the IT Media Group's Executive Insights. My guest today is Paul Lewis, Global CTO of Hitachi Vantara. In this episode, we explore the value of unstructured data and key considerations for a CIO when applying data-driven strategy to help propel their business forward. Hello, Paul. Thanks for being here today.
Hi there. Always good to be here.
Hitachi recently made an announcement about solutions of harnessing unstructured data. So first of all, what is unstructured data? Secondly, why care? And finally, why now?
So unstructured data is in the concentric circles of the data that you collect, right? And it usually starts in the middle. It's the structured information, the databases. You're in tables and you've clients and transactions and products, and it's easily queryable. I can get that out and create a report. Unstructured data is either application-based or human-based. They're creating files, and those files could be anything from PowerPoints to Excels to pictures to videos to MRI scans. They are complex objects to which I want to create metadata around. And then the third tier of sort of data is the IoT tier, where I think of machines, right? Machines producing machine level information, and those machines have to talk to other machines. The point here is that I have to collect all that information together, structured and unstructured, to create some interesting, necessary insights.
That makes sense. So, I think it's fair to say that the pandemic has accelerated the digital transformation efforts for many organizations and also brought the importance of data-driven decisions to the forefront. And
Mhm.
since CIOs are the custodians of data, what are some of the key considerations for a CIO when they try to derive more value and real value from data and to help their business move forward?
I think it's fair to say that we're now in a digital transformation pivot, right? In the last 4 months, we've had to do things differently. In fact, you could see three different types of organizations. There are the thrivers. These are the snack food companies and the media companies and the online video conferencing. They're worried about scale in many ways, right? They have to think about what happens when they have orders of magnitude change in their transactions per second or thousands of percentages of increase in subscriptions. They have to think about what happens when they hit the step ladder of change. It might be a performance or security related problem. On the other side of that equation is the challenge, right? These are the in-person experiences, movie theaters, concert halls, theme parks, planes, right? These are all at zero or near zero revenue, and they have to think about keeping the lights on, survivability. Then the ones in the middle changers, the biggest group, they had some in-person experience and they've had to change some parts of their business. They've had to create new e-commerce sites because they exclusively sold their products in niche stores in malls. Or they've had to subscribe to delivery services, or they've created a whole new distribution channel, right? They've had to think about changing the way they've done business. And that leads to IT delivering on digital transformation projects. A DX project is an IT project. And I can't do that just with applications, just with a new mobile app. I have to understand clients differently. I have to appreciate and drive insights from the data that I collect. I have to monetize that information and look for opportunities to create not just new experiences, but new products and features and functions. And then even look internally to say, how do I adjust my own processes and how I make better decisions?
Hmm, That's good explanation. So let's pivot a little bit and talk about leadership.
Mhm.
Um, Leadership is tested in a crisis like this. What is your leadership style and why?
It is fair to say that a federated leadership style is very different than management by walking around, and we've seen that be true. I can tell you my style is all transparency all the time. And I do that before decisions are made, assuming I'm the one making the decision. I need all the input to be gathered. The reality is most people who work for me are more experienced, are more nuanced, and have more detail than I do. I need all their input to deliver on some sort of result or to create some sort of objective. I also know it takes a village. Like we're talking now, we're doing interviews, we're producing a product, we're creating technology. That's the output. What it means to plan and edit and revise and publish and create and message, those are all teams of professionals that actually get this stuff done. We're talking about hundreds of people to deliver on 5 minutes worth of value. It is in fact a village, and we've got to lead like a village.
That's great. So since April, your role has evolved from the Global Vice President of Industry and Enterprise Architecture to now the Global CTO.
Mm-hmm.
What is your vision and focus in your current role? And what are you doing to ensure that your purpose align with those of your customers as we're moving into the reopening phase?
Because most of my experience is a enterprise consumer of technology versus a provider of technology, my focus and goal almost entirely is to take how a CIO and CTO and CMO and CISO and CDO think and bring that inside of the company. How can we take the perspective of the consumer, the perspective of the user, the perspective of the operator, the perspective of a buyer, and apply that to how our products are made, how our products are serviced, how our products are marketed, how our products are delivered? It's almost exclusively from the perspective of where it's going to versus how it's been built. But I fully appreciate our organization is an inventor. We're a creator. And therefore, I also have to look at what it means to apply technology in the future. What might 10 years need to look like? What, in fact, might technology be applied today versus 2 years from now versus 10 years from now? I have to sort of see the future and how we're inventing now.
So now we're in the reopening phase or are moving into the reopening phase. And I'm still in a bit of a shock because Disney is open. And you are by far the biggest Disney fan that I've met. So what are your thoughts about going back to Disney?
So I've been too many times to make it, a novel affair, right? I'm not going just to ride on a ride. I'm going to experience something interesting, something different. And it is fair to say that right now is something interesting and something different. I think it would be fun to see the Disney park in a much smaller capacity, to see the different safety and security considerations, to understand what social distancing looks like in a queue of 1,000 people, to be able to, experience a vacation in a very different way under very different circumstances. That's generally appealing to me. Listen, I was just on the phone with them a couple days ago, 90 minutes on the call, listening to the sounds of Disney World. And I can tell you, every so often I stopped work. I listened to that song. It's a small world after all. Like, this is inspiring me to still go. It's still important to me. And then after all of that, the math is still pretty interesting. The math is interesting to say, imagine if you were in the business and analysis group of Walt Disney World, and your job was to say, what's the optimal capacity to ensure that everybody has the exact same fun they used to have before, but maximizing the safety and security? Is that 5%, 10%, 50%, 60%? And then how do we worry about things like timeliness of the rides, wait times in line, how much merchandise is available, how much food I need to produce? It's a different world, and the math and analytics is just as intriguing.
Yeah, it's a different world indeed. And I really appreciate your time, Paul, to speak with me today. And that's our episode of the Executive Insights from the IT Media Group. Thank you for being here today, Paul, and thank you for tuning in.